Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Yeah. I'm so handsome. All in Carmine's with my Benz, I'm so fancy. No romancing. Got my baby and she right, she make you van.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back. So today we're actually going to be using the Gamma Ergo, and we're going to be doing a nice skin fade on this client. So for those of you guys who may have missed it, this same client, I used them for several videos. First, we did a number 2 on the back and sides that any mother can do. Very easy haircut to get you by during these difficult times. Second, we did a video about how I texturize the top. I used multiple methods to texturize the top, and we talked about different clients where different factors of texturization, which means to remove bulk without affecting length, give the hair a little bit of movement and flow, and then thirdly, I showed you guys how I did the front edge up, and we dropped that video as well. So if any of those videos are of interest to you, you guys should check for them on the channel, or I'll try to link them at the end of this video. Now, this is kind of like the grand finale. We're going to do a fade and a design, and I'm going to show you all the steps that I took to get there. So, without further ado, let's just get into the video. All right, this kid's got a beautiful head of hair, and the first thing we're going to want to start out with is a 5-0. So, if you don't have a 5-0, a trimmer will work just fine, and we're going to go in and we're going to put in that line. Now, this haircut was pre-cut with a number 2 on the back and sides. This client did not walk in the door with hair that short on the sides of his head. He came in with a pretty long head of quarantine hair. But now we're going to knock that down with a number 2 ahead of time. And if you need to watch that video just to recap, go ahead and check that out. And then come back and let's finish this one off. So once we've gone all the way around the back of the head to the occipital bone, we're going to jump to the other side and we're going to match it. It's just too hard to try to travel all the way around the head with your trimmer or with your 5-0 without actually making it crooked or making it come, out of whack a little bit. So once we've gotten this all lined up, I just want to take 1 second to say, if you are a barber, you're definitely going to want a detachable. You're definitely going to benefit from using a detachable because this kid has a lot of thick hair, and any trimmer is really going to struggle with removing this amount of bulk. And if you're constantly beating up on your trimmers, they're just not going to last or produce really good clean lines for you. So in the next step, we're going to use our electric shaver. I prefer the Braun Series 9. I think this is probably one of the easiest ones that you could possibly blend with. But as we reach towards the top, right where that line is, we're going to start moving away. We're going to start flicking away because we don't want to create any other lines in between these 2 steps. So it's really simple. Once we reach this line, once we reach that trimmer line, we're just going to lift out and away. And oh, come on. Okay, we got a little love back in the house here. All right, so here's our trimmer line. I'll put the T. And we're doing our skin. And our top length, this length, is a number 2. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to get the skin to a number 2, and we need to make sure that we don't cut into the top to do it. Now, I'll be forewarned, this is a difficult haircut. This is definitely going to take you some practice. This isn't something you're going to be able to watch a quick video on and just boom, go out and execute it. I've talked about this a lot. This takes a lot of people a lot of time to learn. So be patient and, maybe try not to watch those videos to be like, oh, learn how to do a skin fade in 4 minutes, because you just won't. You'll be charging in there like you think you got it figured out, and you're going to fall flat. So try to pay attention, try to pick up each step, and each time you practice this, you will get better. So just, check out the 5 fails video where I talk about some of the biggest trouble that people have when they're learning this, but we'll briefly describe some of that now. So one of the things that people do a lot is they wind up moving on from this step before it's complete. So just make sure that you've given yourself time to actually complete this step properly, and you'll know because there'll be no line in between the skin and the trimmer, and all that hair will be removed. Now, in our next step, we're going to give ourselves about an inch or a half inch or so. And this is where we're going to actually begin working on this line, because at this point, all this is blended out perfectly, and we're going to actually set in another guideline as we begin to work. Now, a lot of different electric shavers you could use for this. You could use any electric shaver you want. It really doesn't matter. I just find that the Braun Series 9 is the most gentle on the skin, and also probably one of the easier tools to blend with, because it has the ability to not cut so close and cut super close when you use one side of the blade versus the other. And it also eliminates any long hairs that you may have left with your trimmer or with your 5-0. By taking our clipper and putting the half guard on it and making sure that it's in the closed position. So this is a half attack, and I'm just going to go up an inch with my half guard on the clipper. So if I got my half guard on the clipper, it's essentially equivalent to having this clipper just in the open position. But the difference is, and the reason why I prefer to use the half guard is simple, is because all clippers tend to cut better when they're in the closed position. So for those of you guys who may be new at this, open is here, close is here. Here's my half. I have it closed, and I'm actually going to walk all the way around the whole head. I'm going to get both sides, and I want to make sure that if I look at him from the front view, I want to make sure that this is an even distribution of this line. So however wide this line is, I need it to be the same all the way around the head. Don't try to do half and then try to match the other side, because you're going to make the blend come from two different spots. You might come up with a good blend that way, but guarantee one side's going to wind up higher than the other, and the fade's probably going to be out of whack to begin with. So we don't want that to happen. We do it with the half guard. And again, the half guard close is essentially the same length that you would get if you just did an open taper. Once you know that you have knocked this down to a half guard, it's really going to simplify things, and we're going to begin working on this bottom line. And to do that, we're going to take off the half guard, we're going to put this clipper in the open position, and we're actually going to travel all the way up close to the line that we left, stopping just a little bit lower. And this is when you want to start using the corner of your blade and just sort of hooking it over in towards that line. And generally, we're trying to stay in this area. Once we've done that, we're going to click it down one time. Nice thing about the ergos is they got the clicks, so it's really easy for me to communicate this to you. And we're going to stay a little bit lower. So with that click, we're staying just a little bit lower. We're keeping it flat, and we're just sort of hooking into that line. Now, all the while, you are actually running this over, and you're going to start seeing this dissipate to the point where it starts to disappear. And as we begin clicking one more time, and eventually we'll click the last click. And that's when we're really going to just work that line, and don't try to hold it flat. If I hold it flat and I come straight up into it, I'm going to create another line right here, right? And I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. So just try to use your corners. Make sure that you're holding it flush. Make sure that you're keeping good pressure and you're not leaving the head. Now, a lot of people tell you got to flick. There is a way to flick, but the way that the most people are flicking, especially in the beginning, is wrong. They do this. They bounce. This ain't flicking. This is bouncing. Flicking is still keeping that pressure on while moving your wrist motion, your C motion. Now, all right, you don't need to worry about any of that. Just travel over it, hold it flat. Don't worry about flicking out. Trust me. Let the clipper do the work. The guards are there for you, and that's the whole point of this. So, while I'm working on that line, let's just explain one other little thing. All right, we need to know all our steps. So, skin, trimmer, and the very next step from a trimmer is a closed taper, and then there's open taper. So closed taper just means that I have no guard in the closed position. Open taper just means that I've opened the taper. The next step, 0.5, half guard. Half guard closed, half guard open. 1, closed, 1, open. 1.5 closed, 1.5 open. So this is the balance here. And if you noticed, we went straight in with our half guard. Now we're going to go with our number 1 guard. Now with the number 1 guard, I'm going to create my very next step up. And the next thing you're going to notice is all that hair below is blended out perfectly. And if it's not, you need to return to it and you need to finish it, because that's what we're doing here. So now we have our skin to our open taper line, or 0.5 closed, 0.5 closed, or our open taper line. Okay? So everything is perfect from here to there. And now we've taken our number one, we put our number one on, we put it in the open position, and we've begun the same process over again. Now, earlier in the haircut, you wanted to analyze your growth patterns and just make sure that everything that you're doing is against the grain, and try to take as much hair as you can while holding it flat but not going too high. Next step up from the one. Once we've done one open and we did one close, so that's the one open, we do one close, you'll see that this line starts to go away. It might not go away entirely, which is why we'll return to the half guard when we have to. But the next step above that, as I'm already getting a little behind, is the 1 1/2. So I did 1 1/2 open, and we're going to do that 1 1/2 open, 1 1/2 closed, and you're going to see that that entire blend starts to come together. So on this left side of the head, I'm back working on my open taper to close taper. So honestly, I'm at the trimmer line here. So here's my trimmer line, and I have my 0.5 line closed that we put in. So there you go. And beginning with it open, I'm coming all the way up, and I'm clicking, and I'm clicking, and I'm clicking. And each time I click, I move down. So if I'm clicking, boom, I'm down. Clicking, boom, I'm down. I'm down, I'm down. And I'm rocking and rolling over this line. Now, I just want to take a second to explain to you that if you're new to this, this might seem a little complicated. If you want, join us Saturday nights on the lives where we really go deep into this stuff. And sometimes we'll just isolate one portion of the haircut that you might be struggling with. So, for instance, the one portion of the haircut that most people struggle with is trying to remove this trimmer line. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, but one is their equipment isn't set up properly. Two is their process, they don't understand it entirely. Or three is they're not holding it flat. These are probably some of the biggest problems that I see across the board for most people. But if you can get over those few things, then you're gonna start putting these blends together. All right, you're gonna start putting it together. So let's just redo this fade scale here. And I want to show you something. So essentially, all these skin fades are doing the same thing. Okay? This is like a close-up on the side of somebody's head. It's like really, really close, right? And what this is skin. The flattest part of this line, we'll call it skin, right? And from skin, it blends up absolutely perfect into what we're going to call the number 2. So that's your number 2, okay? So from skin, it blends up absolutely perfect to number 2. Now, if you're making mistakes and you can see lines, you got issues, right? It's going to look more like this. It's going to have areas in it where it's like this. Okay, I could easily see those lines when I look at it on that really blown up view, when I look at it really, really close. Now, I'm on some nutty professor stuff, but follow me. All right? So if it's perfect, it's going to look like this, right? We all can agree. So now, the very next step down from a number 2, that is a 1.5 in the open position. Okay? 1.5 in the closed position. Okay? Very next step down. 1 in the open position. 1 in the closed position. Okay? Now 0.5. 0.5 where? Leave it in the comments. All right? Open position. 0.5 closed position. And then open. And then closed. Okay? And then trimmer. Or 5 zeros. Okay? And then skinner, which is your electric skin machine. So if we follow this process up, we're not going to have trouble. We're actually going to be able to blend. And if you ever get caught, you can start doing some fade trapping if you ever get lost. So what you basically see me do in this haircut, not to overcomplicate things, but I chose to do a 0.5 closed. In my open taper and my closed taper, there's a lot of overlap there, okay? So what that means is I actually chose to essentially just do an open taper, all right? So with an open taper, I knew that if I came into it with a 1 open, I would do 1 open, 1 closed, and then I could go back to my half open, and this area would entirely blend out together. But if you don't understand that, that's cool. Now let's follow me one more time. Follow me one more time, all right? Let's say that we're having an issue, and it's somewhere in here, but we don't really know what guard's gonna not cause a problem. So, but we know our issue's off here. It's out here in space, and it's a dark spot, and it's bothering us, right? It's a dark spot, and it's bothering us. So let's do some fade trapping. We know that it's pretty close to that area where we did that 1.5. So let's just cushion ourselves by saying it's between the 1.5 open and let's say that it's going to be close, we think, to the 1, even though we're going to learn in a minute that we're actually going to have to go back to the 0.5. So we begin working in this area. We start with the longest guard possible. We run over the area. We run over the area in question with the 1.5 open. We know that's not going to do it. Close it. We run it over again. We know that's not going to do it. Cool. We've eliminated these two possibilities. We know that this is not going to help us solve the problem. Now we go to the 1 open because the 1 open is a little bit longer. Now we notice, hey, it helped a little bit. It helped a little bit, but it ain't perfect. So we do the 1 close. All of a sudden, we see it start to go, and now we're still got a little bit of residual, so we realize we got to go to the half. So we've essentially trapped the fade in between the half and the 1.5 open. We worked our way down in those steps, and we found what the problem was, and we got rid of the dark spot. Now, there's going to be a little bit of texturizing that you can do with the clippers because not everybody's hair is going to come out the same. You're going to have hair where you got it really dense on one side and less density on the other side, which means the amount of hair per square inch. So that's when we're going to see barbers using some texturizing techniques, which would mean I might just put it on the corner. I might just tap into those areas a little bit, try to reduce that bulk, reduce that shadow, and make it look good. So I threw a little line in the side of his head. It was all fun. It was all good. And listen, I just want to thank you guys for stopping over at the YouTube Barber Academy for some barberology. I know it's a little bit crazy. Let me know if you guys are understanding, if you're smelling what I'm stepping in. And if you're not and you're confused and you got some questions, join me on the live, man. Or leave it in the comments. I'm making a sincere effort to try to answer all the questions that I get and try to answer every comment that I get. So once again, this is the YouTube Barber Academy. I am Mr. Eddie Barber, and if you need to check out the video on the texturizing, and if you need to check out the video on the scissor cutting on the top, I'll try to put them at the end of this video. Until my next one, I'll see you guys. Peace. Wait a minute, before you guys go, I want to invite you to hit that bell, hit subscribe, and stick around because we're going to go live all the time. It's far more interactive, it's a lot more intuitive, you'll learn a lot more, and we'll go through this video and many others as we continue to grow. We build off each lesson from the last week, so don't miss out on that opportunity. It's free, it's fun, and we're going to have a good time and a lot of guests, and we do giveaways. So I encourage you guys, hit subscribe. Other than that, man, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.